throughout the morning, but it is a much sunnier picture the further north you go. And that's how the weather's shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan, and it's time for Headliners. A first look at tomorrow's papers in the company of two top comedians this evening, the brilliant Sajila Kershi and the marvellous Leo Kearse. Big opinions, big stories and big laughs. I'll see you after the headlines with Polly.
Mark, thank you. Good evening. The top stories. Buckingham Palace has confirmed the Queen will not attend the Epsom Derby tomorrow. Her Majesty is expected to watch the event on TV from Windsor Castle. And the Archbishop of York today thanked the Queen for staying the course during a Thanksgiving service at St Paul's Cathedral. In attendance were members of the royal family, including Prince Charles and Camilla, who are joined by dignitaries to honour the Queen and her 70-year reign. Prince William and Kate were also there, along with Prince Harry and Meghan, who appeared with the Windsors for the first time since their break from royal duties. Her Majesty missed the event after experiencing some discomfort during her Platinum Jubilee celebrations yesterday. The Archbishop said the Queen had been missed.
Your Majesty, we are sorry that you're not here with us this morning, but we are so glad that you are still in the saddle, and we are glad that there is still more to come.
In other news today, UEFA has apologised to Liverpool and Real Madrid fans over what's being called the distressing events at the Champions League final in Paris last weekend. That comes after local fans were filmed climbing over gates to get into the game without tickets, and Liverpool fans were accused of trying to use fake tickets. Fans were pepper-sprayed and even tear-gassed outside the Stade de France. In a statement, UEFA said no football fan should be put in that situation and it must not be repeated. In international news, the Foreign Secretary has tonight reaffirmed the UK's support for Ukraine, warning Russia's unjustified and illegal invasion threatens world peace and economic stability. Marking the 100th day of the war, Liz Truss says the UK remains determined that President Putin's war will not succeed. That comes after Ukraine's leader pledged to continue defending his country, saying victory will be ours. UK intelligence shows Russia now controls more than 90% of Luhansk in eastern Ukraine and warns Moscow could have complete control of the region in the next 2 weeks. In the United States, President Biden is urging Congress to ban assault weapons and expand background checks following another mass shooting. 4 people, including 2 doctors, were killed when a gunman opened fire at a hospital in Oklahoma yesterday. Last week, a teenager shot dead 19 school children and 2 teachers in Texas. And during a racially motivated attack, 10 people were killed in New York State. And lastly, the chain of the supermarket giant Asda says the government's plans to bring back imperial measurements are complete and utter nonsense. Lord Stuart Rose says the move would mean going backwards at a difficult time for business. The government says it's launched a consultation to ditch what it calls overbearing EU laws on the use of measurements like pounds and ounces. You're up to date on TV, online and on your radio via DAB+. You're with GB News, where now it's time for Headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, a first look at tomorrow's papers with me, Mark Dolan, and the brilliant comedians tonight, Sajeela Kershi and Leo Kearse. Great to have you both with us. Sajeela, it's the Jubilee. I wish you'd made an effort.
I thought I'd make no effort whatsoever. I'm embracing the flag. I'm embracing all the wonderful communities that we have in this country who are celebrating the Jubilee right now. Muslims, Jewish people, Hindu, Sikhs, everyone, because they are a force for good for this country. So I thought, I do want to celebrate those people today. But yeah,
couldn't be more right.
So more British.
Leo, will you be celebrating the Queen of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon?
She's not the Queen of Scotland. She's certainly not the Queen of my Scotland. She's just, she's a caretaker. She's a caretaker leader until we scrap devolution and return power to Westminster. Scots used to run Westminster. Now we don't even run Scotland.
Leo, at some point, you're going to have to get off that fence. Now, let's have a look at tomorrow's front pages, and we shall start with the Daily Mail, and they are leading with so far apart, painfully distant at St Paul's. The couples who are still, frankly, at war, William and Harry, were finally reunited at St Paul's Cathedral yesterday, but the estranged brothers were still worlds apart. Our next paper, front page, is the Daily Thank you for staying the course. The nation gives thanks to the Queen, with a nod to her love of horse racing as leads the way at St Paul's in her absence, and that horse and saddle imagery coming from the Archbishop of Canterbury. The Independent next, and Harry and Meghan make a royal return. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex make a partial comeback yesterday at the Queen's Jubilee service. And food banks warn of surge over summer holidays. Parcels reduced to basic provisions as cost crisis bites. OK, let's go to The Guardian next. After 70 years, a new age for the monarchy. The symbolism of a great state service of thanksgiving for an absent Queen was not lost beneath the imposing dome of St Paul's Cathedral, writes Caroline Davies. All the more so as the nation was paying tribute to the Queen's 7 decades of public service as Britain's longest reigning monarch. OK, Faye, where should we go next? Let's have a look at the Financial Times. Capital's drinkers face sobering reality as cost of a London pint climbs to £8. We've read that story on the FT because it's the only story on the front page of the FT that we can actually understand. Let's go to the Mirror next. Platinum Jubilee. Together yet apart, William and Harry honoured the Queen at a service yesterday but kept their distance. Lovely photo on the front page of the Daily Express. Historic Platinum Jubilee edition. We give thanks. It was a service of thanksgiving for one very notable absentee whose unifying presence still very much brought her family and the nation together. So writes Richard Palmer in the Express. And the Star, last but not least, romance is dead, gutted, dumped lovers learn beer bellies not so sexy after all. Yes, indeed, it turns out that women aren't looking for a big fat belly. Devastating news. And those are your front pages. There you go. Now, starting us off is The Guardian, and it looks like Boris hasn't had the best of receptions at the Jubilee celebrations, Leo.
Yeah, some bad news for Boris today. So he turned up to do his Platinum Jubilee, whatever he's got to do. He read from the Bible and he did some other stuff. But when he arrived, he was booed by the crowd. So there were audible boos. I don't know if this was a Let's Go Brandon type event, but yeah, he was booed. Keir Starmer turned up minutes later, and the crowd remained quiet. So this is, this is quite significant because this is a crowd of royalists. This should be a home crowd for a Tory leader. This isn't the National Student Conference or anything like that. It reminds me of when Blair was slow clapped at the Women's Institute, and it just kind of signalled that change. It crystallised and made people realise that public attitude towards Tony Blair.
Can you imagine the reception Boris Johnson would get at the Women's Institute? He'd be stoned, wouldn't he?
Well, I think he'd get a better one at the Women's Institute than Keir Starmer would. I mean, at least he knows what a woman is, so he could go to the right building, because it wouldn't just be a diamorphous institute of nothingness.
Do you think Boris has lost the dressing room?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, this is the big chat. I mean, we've seen Partygate drag on, and to be honest, to the point where I think it's harming the Labour Party more than it's harming Boris, because people are just sick and tired of it, and they know that the government's got work to do. But really, Boris seems to be a busted flush at the moment. He's presided over so much, corruption and waste and inefficiency that I think a change of leadership, and the Tories are good at changing their leaders and still maintaining trajectory, maintaining victory. Although, Boris was heckled in the run-up to the election where he won a majority of 80 seats. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's definitely done and dusted. But this means a lot more than a bunch of Guardian opinion pieces saying Boris isn't very good. This is his home crowd booing him.
Yeah, his home crowd booing him during an awkward 15-second walk. 15 seconds, we know that can be a very long time on stage, can't it, when you're dying?
Yeah.
But yeah, and what I found interesting was that a handful of people in the crowd did cheer him on, but when, there was a lot of booing, obviously, but when Labour leader Keir Starmer went on, arrived a few minutes later, the crowd remained silent. And I don't know actually what's worse, to be booed or just, the apathy.
Well, in fairness, they might not have recognised him.
Why would they not recognise him?
I'm making a point that Keir Starmer isn't very...
Or maybe the people that were silent were women in the crowd who he has famously erased.
Yeah, that's true. The women, if you get 50, well, probably over 50%, yeah, that probably would have annoyed him. But it actually sort of reminded me of how people do come back. I mean, I went to the Paralympics in Rio back in 2016, and the guy had just been elected, I can't remember his name now, and they booed him. He was about to do a speech, and they booed him because he'd screwed up the whole thing. Oh, hello.
Bunting just fell down.
Bunting. Yeah, Bunting's just falling over the place.
Of Prime Minister's political situation.
That's like the Tory party conference when the letters start falling off the wall behind them.
Yes. Yeah. In case you're wondering, here it is. Many thanks to our
classic British,
our props departments,
British engineering there.
Yeah, it's falling apart, isn't it? I mean, it's all go here with the Bunting and stuff.
We'll get that tidied up very shortly because we want to get everything just right here on GB News for 4 days of Jubilee celebrations. Briefly, Sajila, does the Prime Minister style this one out like he normally does?
Oh, he does seem to be like a cat with 9 lives, doesn't he? I mean, in a way, the fact that he does have such, they can really hate him and then he comes back, hate him, come back. It is like a great comedian who just brings the audience and brings back. But I'm not a fan. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a fan.
No,
I'm not a fan, but it's just like...
You can make a judgment this guy basically survives anything.
He does seem to be like Teflon, he just gets like through everything. But do I think they should change him? No. But then I have a vested interest in not doing that, because then obviously, we want him to carry on making mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
You want a Prime Minister who makes mistakes?
No, he can't.
That explains a lot of the Labour Party to me.
I'm sorry, I don't speak for the whole Labour Party. Do you speak for the whole
the
right?
left?
Huh?
Yeah, I do speak for the whole right.
The whole right.
We're unified, and we all agree with me.
Then we are doomed. We are absolutely doomed if you are representing the entire right.
I represent the actual right, not the fake right that Boris is part of.
Sajila raises an interesting point. As a supporter, perhaps, of the left, you want to get rid of the Tories, and your calculation is keep Boris in the job because he's so terrible, he'll lose the election.
That is kind of where I'm going now. However, that isn't to say that I'm a massive Starmer fan either. It's just like you've got to make the best of whoever's in power. They need to be doing their job effectively. That's it, and we haven't seen any kind of leadership from any of them.
I think it's the opposite, Leo, in that I think that if Labour get rid of Keir Starmer, that's bad news for the Prime Minister. If Starmer stays, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, wins the next election.
Who would replace Starmer?
Well, I mean, it would be an Yvette Cooper, perhaps, Rachel Reeves, somebody like, a nondescript shadow cabinet.
We need another nondescript Labour leader. I mean, can they? Keir Starmer is the poster boy for nondescriptness. He's such a poster boy for nondescriptness, he's not on the poster.
Yeah, fair point. Well, let's move on because travel chaos continues in the headlines. This one in tomorrow's Mirror. But are lazy Brits to blame, Sajila?
This is in the Mirror. Jet2 boss blames airport chaos on lazy Brits who live off benefits and Brexit. Basically, not live off Brexit, but, he's blaming it on Brexit. So the airport chief, he's basically saying that people who live off benefits and sit on their bottoms, derrieres, I can't say the word, can I? Bottoms. I'm assuming he means voted for Brexit, are the reason why we've got so much chaos. Now, this is interesting because he's saying that he can't get, staff from Europe, EU countries, to come and work. And since Brexit, obviously, that's made it harder for them. So having a no visa is making it harder for him to get... And when he does get staff, they want to be paid in excess of 17,000 to 24,000 salary, which I think is quite reasonable. I think that's a massive amount to ask.
Very decent, yeah.
And this kind of... I think history always repeats itself. So we've now got, lack of labour and we've got loads of jobs. And this kind of reminds me of, the migrants when, they came over in the 40s and 50s to do the jobs that British people didn't want to do. And then, of course, the Windrush, 1945 to 1960, who came to do the jobs and then, of course, were, as we know, treated appalling later. So, I mean, we're in democracy and I believe in all that and I think that's great. We voted for Brexit. However, now, the chickens have come home to roost. So, yes, the airport chaos, we are blaming the airlines, but I think he might have a point, actually.
Yeah, I do agree, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also the point to be made that, a country isn't just a balance sheet. It's not just, we've got these jobs, we need to fill these jobs. We can offshore a lot of jobs. We can, a lot of data jobs can be done overseas. So, it's not as if everybody has to actually come to the UK to do the jobs. And, I think this is just poor planning on the part of the airports and the airlines. They knew this was coming. They knew they'd laid off a lot of people, and they knew that, there was going to be a big surge in air travel. So they should have planned ahead. They can't blame this on Brexit. That's a nonsense. We do have very low unemployment here, which is, considering, people criticise Brexit, it delivered on its promise of raising wages and delivering more jobs. I think with Brexit, we've got to understand perhaps there are some jobs that if the companies can't afford to pay people more to do them, they're superfluous to society, and we don't need the people in those jobs.
Interesting.
I think we don't want our pilots going in, putting all the luggage into a plane. I'm not sure I want that.
I do.
I want a person who's actually, that's their job and that's what they do. I don't want my pilot being knackered and then going and driving the plane and feeling a bit tired.
Yeah.
So I
don't think I want the pilot driving a plane.
I don't want them driving. I want them doing whatever they do when they fly.
At the very least, I want it to go in the sky, not like down the motorway.
Can't check the altitude
because
he's doing a toasty for someone in aisle 4. It's not great.
But, I mean, a lot of jobs can be automated, can be offshored, so we can keep the economic machine running without having to import loads of people to an already quite populous country.
So you'll be all pro remote working then later on when they've got the story, yeah?
We'll come to that. Well, look, Jet2 is a very popular airline. I do think their boss has a point. Continuing the madness of travel, it looks like some people have found a way of dodging the queues, Leo.
Yeah, so these are reports coming through. I mean, there's been chaos at airports with these backlogs and delays and flights being cancelled, but also airport bosses say that some people are pretending to be disabled in order to get through the mammoth airport queues faster. So the fact that these queues are really long means that people are pretending to be disabled to get through them, which is so mean. It's like pretending there's something wrong with your child to skip the queue at Disneyland. It's so cynical and so mean. So Birmingham Airport, for example...
I'm very lucky, when I go to Disneyland, because my children look sickly anyway.
Right.
So they just get waved in.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're very pallid. The eyes aren't very well aligned. Just sickly.
Is this... Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's brilliant.
Okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm looking like, should I be sympathising?
Yeah, here come Dolan's kids, malnourished. Jump of Treasure Island.
Brexit.
Yourself. I always think
Sajila,
this is awful.
you have to hold fire. We need to fix your microphone. And whilst we do, I think it's dropped.
I felt something going down my boob.
We want to hear. We want to hear. We want to hear every word.
I'm going.
But Leo, let's. I mean, the bottom line is that people will do anything to jump a queue these days, won't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, people are pretending to be disabled to jump these queues at the airports, which is so mean. You get picked up in the golf buggy, it looks like fun when instead of, trundling your suitcase along. There's been a 20% rise in the number of people asking for disabled assistance. So I don't think there's been a 20% rise in the number of people who are actually disabled, even though there's been a rise in obesity. But they've had to order more wheelchairs and take on extra staff. And I know, and it's very difficult for the airport staff. They can't point the finger at people and say, I don't believe you're disabled. Get up and walk. That's a way to get yourself fired, and it's a terrible thing to do. But on the other hand, everybody wants to be a victim these days. There's real cachet in being a victim, and are we all right?
I'm sorry, my drinking problem. I'm so sorry.
See, that was like a costume change. That was like a pit stop change. I don't know what was going on.
What happened?
People reaching.
I should explain.
Reaching into your bra.
Sajila dropped her bottle of Sainsbury vodka.
Well, it is the Jubilee weekend.
I thought it was a contact lens.
Sajila, we know about people that fake a limp when they go into a disabled toilet. This is on another level, isn't it?
Oh, this really makes me angry because having proper disabilities. How do you top trump a disability to go and get ahead of the queue? Like, do you dress up as a fake dog and think I'll travel in the animal department? Oh, I'll see your fake dog. I'll just play dead, right? And then get in a coffin, and then I can get. Because it's all really about to try and get on the plane, isn't it? Yeah. There people are so desperate to get on their holidays. I'm not a fan of people faking disabilities and sharing their disability badges. You know who you are.
Not good. Yes.
And pretending you've got kids when you haven't.
Leo, get that blue badge out of your Audi. You're in absolute disgrace. Shocking news from Saturday's Telegraph now about the increasing price of the lifeblood of this nation, Sajila. What's gone up?
Breaking news coming in. A price of a pint exceeds £8 for the first time. That's because it's the highest it's ever been. That's why it's the first time, right? Yeah. So this is all be blamed on the Ukraine war because the strain of the cost of barley, the cost of barley is quite expensive because of the war. We can't get it. It's a key ingredient to beer. It's spiralling inflation has pushed the average price up of a pint of beer. I don't know. I don't drink boys. I don't know actually how much it costs. But normally it's about £3.95. Would that sound right, boys?
What, for a pint?
Yeah, is that right?
Well, I think it's closer to a fiver in city
okay.
centres.
Yeah. And so it's gone up to £2.30 since 2008. And for the first time, the average price of a pint this is one London establishment. So this isn't really the whole country. One London establishment is charging £8.06. And then the cheapest that they found was in Lancashire, cost £1.79. So if you've got a cheap travel card or day travel, maybe you could just like get a train, and you can drink if you catch a train. You're not, not drinking driving. I don't know much about beer, but I'm just thinking maybe we should be a nation that now goes back to prohibition and, makes moonshine at home.
Yeah.
I don't know how moonshine's made. Like, I don't know any barley, but I've got oats. Can we make things out of...
Oat beer. That sounds like something you get in Whole Foods market.
Can we make something with that?
Yeah.
Sounds vegan, doesn't it?
We've got almond milk. So
almond milk?
Beer, yeah.
Add that to the oats? Porridge.
Some booze companies have already started. So Brewdog's Punk IPA is made from methylated spirits, domestos, and a bunch of flowers.
It is delish, and it puts it puts hairs on your chest, doesn't it?
Yeah. And in your mouth.
And in your mouth. Brilliant stuff. Well, time for a short break. Coming up after the break, Jubilee street parties, Jubilee strikes, and a less than jubilant Vladimir Putin. See you in 2.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners, a first look at tomorrow's papers with myself, Mark Dolan, and the brilliant comedians Sajila Kershi and Leo Kearse. Saturday's Guardian and the Jubilee street parties are happening up and down the country in many different communities, Sajila.
OK, we are going there. Yes, we were just talking about this, how wonderful the Jubilee has been for getting people together. Yeah. And love them or hate them, the Royals, they have brought the nation and the world together. Yeah. And I think the Platinum Jubilee is going to happen once in our lifetime. It's fantastic. By the way the headline is, it's about the people, communities coming together for Jubilee street parties. And street parties have been happening up and down the country. And someone called Kira Malik was waving Union flags at a street party in Moseley in Birmingham. Which was when I woke up this morning, I thought, oh my God, I hope, is anyone actually going to come to the party? And they hastily planned this party, and everybody came. And this has been happening up and down the country. And we saw on the news earlier on there were different communities, interfaith groups coming together. what a wonderful thing. And the only other time I remember this happening was during the Olympics, which people also moaned about the cost of that and whatever. But that, again, I think it really united us. And people have been really proud of waving the Union Jack, which has come under a lot of scrutiny for many reasons, but it actually has embraced every person in this country this weekend. And I think that's only a force for good.
And so you think people are being positively patriotic?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Leo.
What issue with that, Leo, is?
Huh?
What's your issue with that, Leo?
I don't have an issue. I said it's good. I said it's good.
Leo, is the flag back?
I think the flag is back. It feels like Britpop all over again.
Yeah.
Cool Britannia.
Yeah.
Although you sort of make it not cool by saying cool Britannia.
Yeah, and sort of ultra left-wing critics of the Jubilee celebrations are in the minority, aren't they?
Yeah, and
as are the ultra right-wing who don't like the flag being used by others. Yes.
Oh, you mean you're culturally appropriating our symbol?
Well, no, it's just like, it's our flag, our country. It's actually our country.
I haven't heard any right-wing people say we don't like people using the flag.
Oh, OK, we'll see. We'll see what Twitter comes up with later.
Like Twitter? Why would you look at Twitter as a barometer?
I don't know. I'm not on Twitter. You are on Twitter. Anyway, why are we making this personal?
Well, I think, Sajila, you would argue that the sort of the far right have weaponised and co-opted the flag for their own ends.
Yes, they have in the past. So let's not, I always say about let's not cancel culture because we don't want to cancel history because historically it's important to note all of these things and so they don't happen again.
If these groups, these extreme groups, appropriate the flag, it's our job as
to
a majority,
like I did earlier on, wearing a hijab. I reclaimed it, as did many people, today in London. And I think that's really important because this awful climate that we have where, all immigrants are bad, anyone who comes in... No, I'm an immigrant, I've contributed to this country.
I've never heard any right-wing person say that, though. Right-wing people say, immigrants contribute a lot to society, but there are a couple of buts. Such as terror attacks and grooming gangs and things like that. And also
the fact that immigration has to happen in an ordered and controlled way.
Also wage suppression.
Has always been an issue in this country, has always been an issue. Back in the day... like
100 years ago it wasn't an issue.
Margaret Thatcher, I remember her saying how awful it was, to have too many people here and that they wouldn't, it's going to change the culture of the country.
It does.
The culture of this country did change.
It does.
The national dish of this country is curry. And so it's been a force for good. So when you get the new immigrants in, they're going to be... we've let you in, Leo. People
who lost an eye in a terror attack wouldn't say it's been entirely positive.
But you see, when you say
but wait a minute, some of these terror attacks are from homegrown Brits, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm not saying homegrown terror attacks are good. All I'm saying is, there's positives and there's negatives, and you can't just ignore the negatives, which people do. People completely ignore the negatives, and anybody mentions them are
obviously, in this story, I wanted to celebrate that all the things that were good that brought the nation together today and this weekend. It is fantastic seeing, when you see all the bulletins and stuff of people doing all the different wonderful things, coming together as communities in a way that I think early in the first lockdown we did, and then of course we couldn't see anybody, so we didn't do that. And then this has been such a great, release for everyone, and I think it's fantastic, and it celebrates everything that is wonderful about being British.
Yeah, is this, Leo, the best argument for a monarchy, that this is the one institution that can bring together a divided society?
But imagine how much better it would be if it was President Trump, our elected President Trump, instead of the Queen.
Now you're talking. There's the thought. Never say never. Saturday's Daily Mail next on that controversial note. And first it was the Tube, now the Post Office is on strike. Will we know the difference, Leo?
So, yeah, of course, one's the post office, where you go and put your letters and parcels and stuff and get stamps. And the other's the Tube, so that's a train, a public transport network.
Well, exactly, but will we know when the post office is on
I see what you mean. Right,
we get about one letter a week as it is, don't we?
Yeah, so, and also with the Tube. So, post office workers are going to go on strike over the Jubilee weekend in a dispute over pay, promising a mounting hell for Londoners facing a Tube strike on Monday, as well as the hangover they'll have from drinking in the sun for 4 days straight to celebrate the Jubilee. So the union said that post office management is insisting on a pay freeze for 2021 to 2022 and only a marginal improvement after that, which seems a bit unfair considering they've delivered a good profit and there's inflation in double digits. So, they're suggesting a windfall tax instead on financial firms who made, apparently 4 banks made £34 billion in profits. And considering, financial stuff is just numbers on a screen. It's not, like oil. I always feel like oil, why do they have windfall taxes on oil companies? That's men going out. I guess it is men. But it's men going out and digging it out of the ground, risking their lives to get that oil out of the ground. In the North Sea, you fall off that oil rig, you're dead. You're frozen. Your helicopter crashes, that's you gone. Like, why do we do it to people who are risking their lives to get that stuff and not do it to people who are just sitting, sipping a latte behind a computer screen, pressing a button, and then, like, the magic numbers on the screen go up and they're rich? Doesn't make any sense. Do a windfall tax in the banks.
Yeah, there you go. We've set the precedent, haven't we, of a windfall tax? So now the sky's the limit, Sajila.
I don't know, but I just think, all these strikes that are about to occur, because there's more, isn't there? At the end, there was like the RMT, post office, and I think if you like they said that this company has turned a profit. If it's turned a profit, that should be put back into the employers. So I am in favour of the unions, and I think it's important to have union membership if you can have it.
Well, I think they'll get stronger.
Do you have membership here?
I'm in a union.
Are you?
I'm in equity.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I'm a unionised worker, fully socialist.
And this has been your best performance so far.
But when it suits me, when it helps me, I'm all for communism. But yeah, I think this is we're going to see workers, because they've got more power, because obviously with unemployment so low because of successful economic right-wing policies and Brexit, with unemployment so low, they've got more power, because you can't just fire people and get new people in to fill the jobs, because the people aren't there, and there's much more competition. Employers have to offer better deals to get people working. So I think we're going to see more strike action and more bargaining by workers.
As long as Sajila and Leo don't go on strike, we'll be all right. Sticking with Saturday's Mail, and one world leader who's not joining the Jubilee celebrations and has in fact turned to mocking it, is clearly angry he didn't get an invite. Sajila.
It's just literally sour grapes of someone who's watching the cool party next door who hasn't been invited, and they're just getting really I can't say that word either. They're getting a bit snitchy. Sounds like snitchy. But anyway, bitchy? Yeah, can we say that word?
I don't think so.
I think we can.
Well, you started it, not me.
Biatchy.
Yeah, that's better. Biatchy.
Just being real biatchy. Putin is being rather biatchy, and he's mocking the opulent celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and he's warning against power cuts are on their way to Britain's over Russian sanctions, which actually is not terribly far off the mark, because in South Asia you get power. You get load shedding, power cuts, and they'll just cut out completely. Obviously, it's so hot there, so you're relying on the fans and the fridges and freezers, and it'll just completely aircon completely go. And so that could be a thing. So anyway, because they haven't been invited to the party, the Russian state TV has mocked Britain's celebration and saying that it's a distraction from the Downing Street parties. They're very nosy in our business, aren't they? And it's and also the general decline in our standard of living. And it's almost like we've thrown this party to wind them up. It's something like it wasn't personal, Putin. It really wasn't. Roysia 1, which is the channel there, saying the reign of Elizabeth II has seen the final collapse of the British Empire. So I don't know if that's a far-fetched thing, but apparently this is a common thing that they do. They deflect attention from domestic problems by, bigging themselves up. And he said he's going to bomb. Do you remember Kenny Everett? We were going to bomb.
He's going to bomb Kenny Everett.
Yeah, bomb the. Do you remember Kenny Everett?
Yeah, I love Kenny Everett.
Let's all bomb.
Just waiting to see where this is going.
I can't say that word either. I can't say any of the words I want to say today. But yeah, the tards. No, I can't say that either.
Oh my gosh. God. You're watching an X-rated edition of Headliners. Let's move on to.
Well, I was just going to say on that story. So it's interesting that left-wing people in this country are handing ammunition to Putin. So a lot of the criticisms that he's making of Britain are things that left-wing people, woke people who want to bring our culture down from inside, say themselves. He's talking about demands for apologies and reparations for slavery. He's He's talking about Downing Street parties, which the left keep banging on about. He's talking about Sinn Féin, anti-British political parties having successes like Sinn Féin. And obviously, you've got the Scottish Nationalist Party north of the border fighting against the centre. So it just shows, left-wing people when they're criticising Britain, which they love doing, they're actually handing ammunition and propaganda to a despotic dictator.
I see. So basically, Putin, everything he's doing is all the left-wing's fault here, yeah?
No, but it's something that
when the left talk Britain down, they're helping Putin with his propaganda.
But the left are not talking Britain down, they're talking Britain as it is.
Well, for example, they tweet photographs of flags on Regent Street and just say, oh, look at all of this horrible, imperial arrogance.
Who's they? There might be a select few. Just like you say...
Laura Pidcock.
How does this become a left and right all of a sudden?
When left-wing people started doing it.
Huh? What?
When left-wing people started doing it. All woke people love criticising Britain. They love bringing it down, saying we're horrible, we're intolerant, we're racist and all the rest of it.
And during the pandemic, they called us Plague Island.
Who are they? Who are they?
Very prominent left-wing commentators.
Prominent left.
The Guardian.
The Guardian.
The Guardian. Well, I like The Guardian.
Owen Jones.
I'm going to defend The Guardian for balance. I'm going to defend anything that you say. I'm going to go the opposite way and say you're just talking a load of nonsense and you just want to be right. Two boys on each side of me wanting to be right. And you are right.
Well, sadly not as often as I'd like to be. Let's have a look now at this story in Saturday's Guardian and a strange sense of irony coming from the UN, Leo.
Yeah, so this is talking to The Guardian. This is from The Guardian, and so around 50 countries...
I love you, Guardian.
I don't love you, Guardian.
He does really.
I think you're shocking. You should also they criticise GBNews, and then at the end of the article criticising GBNews, they beg for money. It's like at least GBNews doesn't beg for money at the end of its shows. Please, we notice you've watched 3 shows this week. Could you please consider donating? No, we've got some respect. We show an advert for a jewellers in Swansea instead. That's a better way of doing it. Anyway,
and a great jewellers it is.
Oh my God, that was such a suckfest, Leo. That really was. Honestly, you don't need to do that. You got the gig already.
Yeah, well, I think I want a discount on that the sovereign rings from that Swansea jeweller. But 50 countries have voiced outrage that the nuclear-armed North Korea is being tasked with chairing the world's foremost multilateral disarmament forum over the next 3 weeks. This is crazy. So a lot of NGOs are recommending countries to walk out of the room in protest. Basically, they've got this Geneva-based conference on disarmament, and it's 65 members, 65 countries that are in it, and they just rotate the sort of leadership of it based on the alphabetical name of the country. So it's come round to North Korea, who are obviously the worst people to be leading some sort of nuclear disarmament thing, because they keep building nuclear weapons and they really want to test them. Well, they test them and they really want to use them. So, and they've flaunted non-proliferation agreements the whole way through. And they still consider themselves to be at war with the USA. Since 1953, they've been at war technically with the USA, although the USA doesn't seem to be putting much effort into it, which is lucky for Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to agree with my learned colleague and say, yes, I agree with you that North Korea is not a force for good at all.
Yeah. We found common ground at last.
Yes.
Stop right there. Saturday's Mail has J.K. Rowling back in the spotlight, and this time it's a battle of privacy, Sajila.
Oh, yes. So it's not J.K. Rowling with anything to do with trans issues or even Harry Potter. It's a case of get off my land, get off my land. Nobody says that anymore, do they?
J.K. Rowling does.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling's Forestry Estate company is in a row with hikers and cyclists over a popular trail. Like if you did a lot of walking over the, the lockdowns, people, it's a popular thing. So Thistle Lane Limited has been accused of preventing access to Captain's Road path with signs and trees. Now, Thistle Lane Limited sole director is Ms. Rowling's husband, Dr. Neil Murray, but the Harry Potter author is also shown to hold a significant control in the firm. So now walkers and mountain hikers are kind of complaining that they're stopped from going on our land. And I don't see the issue personally because I love J.K. Rowling, so...
And if it's her property, do
It's
we
her
know
property.
why?
It's
Do
her
we know
property. Why should she let people go over her property? I don't want people going on my balcony. Do you?
I mean, to be honest,
have land, but
this
do you
is
have any land?
well. This isn't. I don't have any land, but this is in Scotland, and as I understand it, there's no trespass law in Scotland. You know, you've got it's not like England where people can put up signs saying stay off my land. This is private land. Although there are there's right to roam routes where you're allowed to cross the land. I remember me and Darius, another stand-up comedian, we were picking mushrooms. And
there's a story.
And so we'd strayed off the path, and somebody appeared from nowhere and asked why we weren't on the path. It's like, it felt like being in Nazi Germany, because we weren't allowed to pick mushrooms.
Oh, that Godwin's law went quickly. Whoa, straight there. I was walking for a walk, as you count what you like, and before I knew it, it was like Nazi Germany.
Foraging. You should be allowed to forage for nature's sustenance. But yeah, there's no trespass law in Scotland. And growing up in Scotland, we used to just, walk up into the hills and have a bonfire and, stay out and drink wine and all the rest of it. And it was fun. So, I'm surprised that J.K. Rowling, considering that, the universe has dealt her such a great hand, she's got the admiration of Sajila, she's got loads of money. Why doesn't she just let people walk on this land?
But I don't get the impression that she's stopping it. It's just like they think that they're not allowed.
Well, they're planting trees across the right of way and not offering any alternative routes. So you've either got to climb through the trees.
Is good. Oxygen. We need oxygen.
Yeah, but not on footpaths. We don't. We need the footpaths. How are you going to get at the oxygen?
Do we know whether this is J.K. Rowling's sort of personal estate? Like, is it basically her garden?
She's got a stake in it.
She's just
got a stake in it.
So perhaps this is to do with the maintenance of the land.
Yeah.
This could be a forestry issue.
Right. So you think this is they're just scratching around? It was a slow news day at the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
They thought we can't run 800 pages in a row on the Jubilee. We've got to have something else in there. So they went for J.K. Rowling's forestry.
So. I smell a rat. Timber. Coming up after the break, angry homeowners, angry boyfriends, and angry art fans. Don't go anywhere.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners, a first look at tomorrow's papers with me, Mark Dolan, and tonight in the company of the hugely talented Sajila Kershi and the marvellous, rather clever comedian Leo Kearse. Let's talk about a shocking electricity bill. Leo, this is not one for the faint-hearted, is it?
Yeah, shouldn't really laugh. This is so a couple was shocked when they received a statement from their electricity company, OVO. It projected their annual bill to be £40,000, just over £40,000. That's more than 20 times the price cap at the moment. So they queried it, because obviously you'd think, well, this can't be right. They queried it with OVO, and the supplier admitted it had made a mistake. The figure was supposed to be £52,000. So they got they've now got a bigger bill. Well, it's an estimate, so I don't know how estimates work. I don't know if you have to pay the estimate or if they do it.
The estimate normally gets cancelled out if somebody comes around and reads the meter. Right,
and I don't know if they'll do that here because they live in the Cairngorms, which is way up in the Highlands of Scotland. But it's only a 3-bedroom house, so I'm assuming it's got walls and a roof. Because I just don't understand
how the obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless they've just got massive radiators all the way round.
Or they're growing. They've got growing marijuana in their loft. How else can you use that much electricity? That's mad. Absolutely mad.
And also they're older as well. So I think they're in their 80s. It said. Well, one of them is 82 years old.
Definitely.
Well, with serious health problems. So this is quite sad. I don't really understand how they can be using more electricity than the Blackpool illuminations, but this is apparently, what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It's a shocking story. Do either of you have any energy guilty pleasures? Now that we're having to ration our electricity, I'm feeling very bad about the tumble dryer.
Oh yeah. Because you can dry it outside or on the radiators. The radiators need electricity as well.
Afraid so.
It's not. But I mean, the thing is, I'm really vigilant about checking every bill and stuff. Like even yellow label stickers, like reduced.
Oh, I love a yellow label.
No, if I get charged like the full price, I'm back in that shop.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, do you know what I mean? And so I'm very kind of like, especially now, so poor couple. I mean, and they're 80.
Well, I don't know if they are poor, because, I mean, if that's, the bill that they're getting, they're probably quite rich.
A 3-bedroom house, that doesn't make any sense.
I can't work it out myself.
Well,
I don't know how big the bedrooms are.
Jacuzzi, cinema, marijuana farm.
Yeah, marijuana.
It all adds up.
I'm telling you, it's a marijuana farm. 80 years old.
They've probably got mushrooms in the garden, Leo.
They grow for free in Scotland.
I've seen that. I've seen
pensioners
who turn to crime. So that's the thing,
Yeah, I've seen some films.
Okay.
There's one with Robert Redford. But yeah, so the price cap doesn't affect houses. Because I thought there was a price cap that kept everybody's electricity bill at a certain amount, and I think it's just about £2,000 now, and it's going to rise to £2,800 in October. Yeah. But apparently, it only applies to you if you're like an average household. So if you use more than that, you don't get a price cap, which sort of defeats the point of having a price cap.
You're in trouble. Deeply, deeply concerning. Saturday's Daily Mail brings us yet another miraculous advancement in science, Sajila.
Oh yes, from Leo's favourite newspaper, the Daily Mail. Woman 20...
You mean the tablet of truth?
A woman 20 gets a new 3D printed ear made from her own cells in a revolutionary world-first transplant. It's fascinating. So this 20-year-old woman, known only as Alexa, like, our little gadget, she's from Mexico. She was born with a rare, birth defect that causes the external part of the ear to be really small and misshapen, and it obviously causes deafness as well. So Dr. Arturo Bonilla, a paediatric ear reconstructive surgeon in San Antonio, he's devised this revolutionary thing where you can get a 3D printed ear created. It's mental. It's like, so this surgery, first of all, you have to, so you get cells from the cartilage from your ear, or you can take it from your rib as well, because when I had my nose adjusted, not cosmetic reason, because it collapsed, they take it from your rib.
By the way, what collapsed your nose? Was it the mushrooms?
Yes, the mushrooms. So then, and they get the nutrients to turn them into billions of little cells. Then these cells are mixed with collagen-based bioink, which is shaped into an outer ear. Yeah. After being inserted into a specialised 3D
this is like a TED talk.
Bioprinter. So it's a printer. So it's not like a printer like the office Christmas party where you photocopy
I don't think.
your bum.
Well, actually, you could photocopy your bum in it. You could generate a new bum.
Oh my God, a 3D bum! Because they're really not. If you
is your bum not 3D?
Oh, 3D bum, and because you could get your hands just in round cheeks like this.
Yeah.
That would be ace. Just because you just want. It's like a stress ball, wouldn't it? Like Such stressful.
You'd have to make sure you got the right one, though, because if you got somebody else, if you got a colleague's
That
bum,
one,
you'd get fired pretty quick.
That's true. Yeah, we want to, but it's printing. I mean, they do it like for other like prosthetics and other things. But this is fascinating.
It's amazing technology, and I hope they can do it for bones. And so if you've been actually, I was run over by a truck when I was 17, so my legs kind of mangled. So if they could grow a new leg, that'd be amazing, because I'd have loads of operations to get the bone to finally knit.
Right, no,
and obviously people, and people get...
by a left-wing person, I should add.
Yeah, I was
it probably
it's
was.
been annoying people for a very long time.
Look at my leg. There's my
Oh my
leg.
God!
You get a little bit of scarring.
You want to see my scar?
Like that bit in Jaws.
Oh yeah, I've got loads of scars.
But and with soldiers that get wounded in battle, if you could regrow arms and things like that, it'd be amazing.
If you could regrow any specific part of your anatomy with a 3D print, Leo, what would it be?
I'd just have an extra leg. I think I have 3 legs for a while.
I heard you've already got that. That's what a friend told me.
Couldn't possibly comment.
Well, apparently someone found out at the GBNews Christmas party. So. Who knew? Another exclusive. Let's go to Saturday's Times now. Elon Musk's got a feeling the markets might not have a good night, Leo.
Yeah, so there's some bad economic omens from Elon Musk. So he says Tesla needs to cut staff numbers by 10% as he pauses hiring due to what he describes as a super bad feeling about the economy, which is very sort of Bill and Ted language, got a super bad feeling, man. All right. In an email to executives titled "Remote Work is no longer acceptable," the world's richest man wrote, "Anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean minimum, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. This is less than we ask of factory workers." But he himself isn't, spending as much time as he should at Tesla because he's off, trying to buy Twitter and build space rockets and things. So he's not following his own rules. And that's, I think, why Tesla's share price has sort of dropped. In fact, it's plummeted. It's down 10% just today, and it's down about 45% since the start of the year. And also, I think he's missing the point that working from home, people can actually be more productive, and also you can measure productivity more easily. There's a lot of presenteeism in work where people turn up, sit there and look like they're working, wear a nice shiny suit, but aren't actually doing anything.
I think he's a bit of a taskmaster. I feel sorry for the people at Twitter, because I did a gig at Twitter, and it's gorgeous. It's like
Was your joke 160 characters long?
It was only that long a joke. That's and they had to get off stage. No, but it's awesome. It's like Google, working for Google. They really treat their staff well. So if he comes along and he's like, "No, you can't do this and this," I don't think. I'm really sorry, Twitter staff. You're gonna.
But there was that leaked video. There was that leaked video of a Twitter executive saying they work like 4 hours a week. So I think Elon Musk could go in there and massively improve efficiency.
They have
and
a
also,
really good life.
Twitter staff treat Twitter users really badly. So they deplatform right-wing people for no reason. They just don't want right-wing voices on there.
For no reason.
It's for no reason. It's very biased. I'm still on there. I'm still hanging on by my fingertips.
Well, look, there's been kind of some creative tension in the show tonight, which is what this programme is all about, because it's all about opinions. You've got a story about how we should cool down after an argument, Sajila.
Yes. Okay. So, right. So this guy, this is the Daily Mail. Yes. Again?
Yeah.
Okay. Daily Mail. A man, 21. I say a man, is a spoilt, entitled brat. He broke into an art museum and destroyed $5 million worth of irreplaceable ancient Greek artifacts after a fight with his girlfriend. So his name's Brian Hernandez, who's 21.
It's always a Brian, isn't it?
It's always Brian, our Brian. And he basically had a fight with his girlfriend, turned up, he told Dallas police that he decided to destroy the pieces because he was mad at his girl, right? I've never understood men who, after having a fight, go all like, kind of a Rambo and just like destroy things. Like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
But unless she has some interest in this museum with all this artwork, which is like, that'll teach her, I'll just destroy these really expensive things. I don't understand why he decided to go there and not just go and get drunk in a bar and have a bar brawl like most guys.
Yes.
Yeah? But also, good on her, she's out of it. Well done, girl.
Oh, did she dump him?
Huh?
Did she dump him?
We don't know if she dumped him. That's not stated. But
right.
they obviously had a fight, but I'm just thinking, After that, I doubt she'll go back. I doubt she'll stay with him.
I don't know.
But it was millions.
Women love a bit of drama. Women love a bit of drama.
Women love a bit of drama, a bit of passion. We love a bit of passion.
Ooh,
yeah.
he must really love me if he smashed up £5 million worth of artefacts.
Exactly. If anything, it gets him back in the good books. Well, two great works of art are Leo Kearse and Sajila Kershi. Thank you for a brilliant show tonight. Loved the analysis, loved the debate and loved the lols. Of course, we've got another instalment of Headliners tomorrow at 11. And I'm back in the hot seat at 9. We'll be celebrating the Queen's Jubilee. So much happening tomorrow during the day. I'll be reacting at 9 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. We don't do boring. Not on my watch. I just won't have it. See you tomorrow at 9.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and every weekday we bring you The Briefing live from 9:30 a.m. The stories, analysis and live debate that you need to hear.
Quite right, Tom, of course.
Was this something that had been considered at all?
Difficult to answer.
Gas-guzzling helicopters circling. Noise is being made here. Joe Biden walking out